But we've just started.
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be doing a review for The Strangers Pray at Night today. Now, I'm fully aware that I've done a review for this before and I've also done a review for the original before, but I'm re-reviewing the first two movies in preparation for the new Strangers chapters 1, 2 and 3. Of course, chapter 1 came out in May 2024. Chapter 2 is out in October 2024 and then early 2025 we've got the finale for chapter 3 of the new trilogy. So in this review, guys, there is going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen this film or if you don't want to be spoiled, then don't watch the video. However, if you don't mind and you've seen the movie, then continue watching. Mike, Cindy, Luke and Kinsey are off to a trailer park to stay for the night before they take their daughter, Kinsey, off to boarding school for being a little naughty girl. Cindy's aunt and uncle own the trailer park, but unfortunately for Cindy and her family and the aunt and uncle, the strangers already got there and killed the aunt and uncle at the trailer park. So unfortunately for the family who are coming, they don't know the dangers that lie ahead. The family in this one seem to be the complete opposite to Kristen and James from the original Strangers, because Kristen and James were dysfunctional and they obviously fell out, whereas in this one, this family was more of a really loving, tight-knit family. Of course, Kinsey was a kind of runaway because she's going to a boarding school, but the way that the mum and dad deal with Kinsey's behaviour is very commendable because they want the best for Kinsey. Obviously, we have some heart-to-heart moments between Kinsey and her mum. So we know that they are a loving family. Even the brother, Luke, is very loving towards Kinsey. Yes, he teases her sometimes, as big brothers do. But as you can see, they're all a very loving, tight-knit family. Luke is one of those all-American kids. He's a very smart kid, a very athletic kid as well. And it looks like he's going places. Yes, of course, he likes to tease his sister, but who doesn't want to do that if you are an older brother? Cindy and Mike also seem like very well-rounded people. They don't seem like they're angry at each other. They're very loving. They obviously want to get frisky with each other when the kids are out. So they're a very normal looking family. When Luke and Kinsey go out for a walk to try and clear the air, they go to an open cabin that just happens to be the aunt and uncle's cabin, and they go in and find their bodies and they go and warn the parents. And the parents don't really believe them at first until they go and see, or at least the dad goes to see the body or the bodies, and then all hell breaks loose and they all start getting attacked by the three strangers. Although Kinsey was a troubled kid, she stood up to the plate when it was necessary. When she was fighting against these three masked strangers, she stood toe-to-toe with all three of them, I would guess. And it's the same with Luke as well. At first I thought he wasn't going to do much or be much of a help, but he stood up to the plate as well in the end. It just goes to show that there was a great family resilience, a really realistic family. Unfortunately for the parents though, it didn't work out too well for them. The mum died first and then the dad died second, but they didn't die for nothing. They died trying to protect their kids. I felt like the strangers were more dynamic in this one. They had more things to do, more people to torment, of course, and there was a bigger body count as well. So there's just something about the strangers in this one that, I'm not saying I liked the strangers better in this one. They were obviously supposed to be the same characters, and they did feel like the same characters. I just felt like because of the open space and the more bodies that they had, there was more to do for them. I absolutely loved the setting. I loved the setting more in this one than I did in the first one. The first one was great because it was an isolated area. This one was also isolated, but it was in a trailer park in the middle of off-season, so there was nobody around but them in an entire trailer park. I think that's a dream come true for a lot of kids, especially me. If I was a kid going to a trailer park when there was nobody around, that would be absolute bliss. So they utilised that perfectly with, you see the fog coming in as well. Very eerie atmosphere, and it's mostly set in the dark as well. So absolutely loved the setting. In this one, all three strangers die as well. I don't know if maybe that's another reason I like this one in terms of the characters more, because we see a final answer for these strangers. We've obviously got one of the girls gets clubbed to death and then stabbed. The other girl gets a shotgun to the stomach and another shotgun, possibly to the face. And then obviously the man in the mask gets rammed about in the car, he gets blown up, and then he gets smacked in the back of the head at the end of the film, Texas Chainsaw Massacre style. I love one of the kills when Kinsey was asking the girl, like, why you doing this to us? And then she's like, why not? And again, it's fantastic. They don't copy the original's words, they change it, but they give us it in a way that we believe that these are the same characters from the first movie. Speaking of the fog that we see throughout the film, the score of this movie is the fog score. If it's not the fog, it's like 98% like the original fog score. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because that's a fantastic thing. I absolutely loved the score throughout this film. I also loved the choice of music as well. They decided that this film was going to be a very nostalgic 80s style soundtrack, and I loved it. And not only that, the colour palette that they used for this film was very 80s as well. Very neon. I don't know why they done that, but I absolutely loved it, especially the pool scene where we get that really 80s vibe, because we've got the 80s colours and we've got obviously the 80s music. I would say, however, that pool scene was an artist's dream. Very similar to the first one in terms of the quality of the mood and the atmosphere, as we see the strangers just walking around in the darkness, coming out into the camera's focus. Perfect. Just exactly like the first movie. It feels like this one was directed by the same guy, and it wasn't. It was a different director, and of course it's a different cast of characters as well, apart from the strangers, but they're also played by different people, and it just feels very seamless because they acted the same way as they did in the first movie, and the film was shot almost identically like the first movie. Obviously not the same story, but aesthetically it's the exact same. Here's the beauty of the first two movies for me as a viewer, is when I watched the first film, I didn't have any kids. It was just me and my wife. And watching, well, we weren't even married, but we were a couple at the time. And watching The Strangers, they were a couple as well. So I could watch it through their eyes, and I loved it. By the time I watched The Strangers Pray at Night, I was married with 2 kids, a boy and a girl. This film was about a husband and wife with 2 kids, a boy and a girl. So I could resonate with this family as well, because I could see it through their eyes as well. So I totally connected to that film too. So I connected to both movies in a personal level, and I think that's why I love both films. I think The Strangers Pray at Night gets a lot of hate, maybe because it's been compared to the first movie. I compare it to the first movie as well, but I think both movies are fantastic in their own right. I don't think either of them are better than the other. There's some parts of Pray at Night that I like more than the original, if I'm being honest. However, there's some parts of the original that I like more than Pray at Night. So it's hard to really choose which movie I like best, because they're almost even to me. I think if I had to choose, I would say that the Pray at Night is better in character dynamic and the killers as well. Whereas in the first one, because of the unknown, we don't know what's going to happen. Just the sheer terror makes the first one that bit better. So what are your thoughts on Strangers Pray at Night, guys? How does it compare to the first movie from 2008? As always, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.
Meeting adjourned.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever play in the cat?
Someone's in the back seat!